Let's look at creating logos using Scamper. So here we have two examples. Um, the logo for Hillary Clinton's campaign for the presidency and the Rio Olympics. It's without a doubt that the designers would have used some kind of tool to help them think through the issues relating to creating a logo. Scamper is one of these tools we can use. So, before we begin, let's look at the 5 different varieties of logo category. Firstly, there's the word mark, the letter mark and monogram, the pictorial logo or brand mark, the combination logo, and finally the emblem. So the word mark simply has letters and words. Notice here the variety of typefaces. The letter mark or monogram just uses initials. Pictorial logos or brand marks just use pictures, of course. The combination logo, here we have pictures with words. And the emblem uses a shield or a simple geometric shape as a container or a field for any of the other logo styles. So, what is Scamper all about? Well, Scamper helps us generate ideas. So it does this through specific stages and steps, beginning with S for substitute, C for combine, A for adapt, M for modify or magnify or minimize, P for put to another use, E eliminate or elaborate or enhance, and R for reverse or rearrange. Now we'll have a look at logos that appear to have used any one of these strategies. Before you begin, you need to have already created a word mark of some kind. So to use Scamper, simply go down the list and ask questions regarding the design elements of shape, line, type, and color, and the design principles of hierarchy, contrast, scale, proportion, and cropping. You do not need to follow the exact order from S to R, just have a go with each design strategy. Remember, not every idea you generate using Scamper will be viable or interesting. However, take your good ideas and explore them further. Okay, so substitute. Substitute a letter with a pictorial shape, as in the gun in Sopranos in place of an R, the horseshoe in place of an O in pony, and Google with a magnifying glass. Combine a word mark with pictorial or abstract shapes. Here at the bottom we've got 3 photographers. Each uses some reference to the camera and a word mark at its base. Adapt a counter into a shape. So the counter, of course, is the middle negative space or counter shape within an O or an A or a B, and instead of having what is normally there, just replace it with an interesting shape, one that feeds back to the whole meaning of and purpose of the logo. Modify letter forms by cutting, cropping, and reshaping. Look at the Z in Amazon. The Z is reshaped to appear like it's just bouncing off that arrow, the arrow which is also a smile. Or have a look at the M that has been snipped or cut and let loose to fly like a bird. Um, in the logo for 8, you have the 8 formed by a series of 8s that are cropped. Modify. Modify by forming letter forms into pictorial shapes. The R in Rio is a bird. The C's in Black Cat, eyes of a cat. The London Symphony Orchestra looks like someone holding a baton. Put to another use by exploiting similarity. The 2 looks like, well, at least on its side, looks like an N. Twins, it kind of makes sense. In Talk More, you have quotation marks in place of A's, a question mark in place of a C in Curious. Symbols for Codefish, Baskin Robbins, BR. The B is formed with a 3 and the R with a 1. It just so happens that they have 31 ice cream flavors. Eliminate spaces between letters. In FedEx, you've got all the spaces removed and all the letters are touching. That is, they've been kerned in such a way as to create an E and an X, which form a negative space or a counter shape that is an arrow. Eliminate letters to create a monogram, quite popular amongst fashion labels. Eliminate parts of a shape to create another. The elephant has parts eliminated to form giraffes and a rhinoceros. The Pittsburgh Zoo has a tree elaborated in such a way as to create the profiles of a lion and a gorilla. The Bronx Zoo has the legs of the giraffes elaborated in such a way as to form a skyline. Rearrange. Rearrange letter forms by scale, placement, kerning, or rotation. In the Tour de France logo, you have a rider on a bicycle going uphill. The letters have been changed in size and they've been jumbled a bit to form seats of a bicycle and wheels. The C in Continental has been shifted so as to overlap or embrace the O, but the negative space between them looks like a tire. And of course, killed looks like the eye's been rotated horizontally or is dead. Now, so what must we consider when creating a logo? Well, firstly, shapes. There are positive shapes and there are negative spaces. But why don't we think about shape and counter shape? So whenever you think of white space in a logo, look for potential of how that white space can be incorporated. Here's some really nice examples. And letters can be, or whole words, can be images or pictorial shapes. The counters of letters can also have an image within them. Now, there's also line. There's not just shape. So when you consider the width of a narrow letter form stroke, it may be thought of as a line rather than a shape. So linear letter forms can be paired with linear pictorial elements. Here are a few examples. And of course, there is color. And color must be thoughtfully applied to a logo. It should match the field in which the logo sits in terms of the industry or the kind of message that needs to be communicated. So colors must not only communicate the character of an entity, they must also attract the eye and be readable. Now, the rule of thumb is never use too many colors. 2 is plenty, 1 is enough. Once you add black and white, you have a lot of variation. Enjoy using Scamper, and don't forget to consider those elements and principles of design.